My name is Daniel Harris. I'm 42 from Manchester, England. For nearly 15 years, I believed I had a loyal partner and a happy home. My wife, Claire, often said she was working late, and I trusted her every word until small cracks in her story turned into a heartbreaking revelation. What I uncovered not only shattered my marriage but tore apart the very foundation of our family. This isn't just about lies. It's about betrayal, choices, and the price of blind trust. Stay with me till the end, because the truth I found will leave you speechless. For most of my adult life, I believed in Claire. She wasn't just my wife. She was my anchor, my confidant, the mother of our 2 children. From the outside, we looked like a perfect couple, sharing vacations, family dinners, and Sunday mornings at the park. Friends often said, "You two are proof that love still exists." But perfect pictures sometimes hide broken frames. It began subtly. Claire started coming home later than usual. She'd send a quick message. "Don't wait up, I'm working late." At first, I brushed it off. After all, she worked in marketing and long hours weren't unusual. But soon, the pattern became unsettling. 3 nights a week turned into 4, sometimes 5. Our dinners grew cold and our conversations shorter. One evening, I noticed her perfume lingering in the hallway even though she'd claimed to be at the office. Another night, her laughter drifted from the phone in the kitchen, but she quickly hushed when I entered. My instincts screamed, but my heart whispered, "Trust her. Don't doubt the woman you love." The children began asking, "When will Mum be home?" I had no answer. I told them she was busy, that she loved them. Yet deep inside, I felt like a man building excuses for a crumbling wall. The breaking point came one Friday night. Claire had promised she'd join us for pizza night, a tradition in our home. But 9 p.m. passed and she still wasn't there. I tucked the kids into bed, their disappointed faces piercing my heart. When I went downstairs, I saw her handbag still on the counter. She hadn't even taken it with her. That was when I knew something was deeply wrong. Her words no longer matched her actions. The woman I trusted with my soul was hiding something bigger than late work. And soon, I was about to discover the truth, one that would destroy not only my marriage, but the very meaning of family I had fought to protect. The night Claire forgot her handbag was the turning point. My chest felt heavy, as if the walls of our home were pressing against me. I couldn't sleep, so I stayed up, staring at the clock, waiting for her to walk through the door with some flimsy excuse. At 1 a.m., headlights finally lit up the driveway. Claire tiptoed inside, clearly startled to find me sitting on the couch in the dark. "You're still awake?" she asked, forcing a smile. "I couldn't sleep," I replied. "Where were you?" She hesitated, then said, "At the office. Big campaign launch, you know that." Her voice trembled, and I noticed her blouse buttoned wrong, her hair tousled in a way no office could explain. My heart wanted to scream the truth, but my lips stayed sealed. Instead, I just nodded, letting her retreat upstairs. That night, I lay awake listening to her soft snores, wondering how long I had been living in denial. The following week, I decided I couldn't rely on assumptions. I needed proof, something undeniable, something that would silence the war raging between my heart and mind. I started paying closer attention. I checked her phone once when she left it charging in the kitchen, but it was locked with a passcode I didn't know. Claire never used to keep secrets from me. Now her life felt like a locked box I couldn't open. So I hired a private investigator. It felt like betrayal on my part, but what choice did I have? If she was innocent, I'd apologize forever. But if she was, I needed to know. 2 weeks later, the investigator called me. His voice was calm but heavy. "Mr. Harris, I think you should see this." He handed me a folder of photographs. Claire, my wife, my partner of 15 years, was in a cafe holding hands with a man I had never seen. The pictures grew worse, them laughing, kissing, disappearing into a hotel. I stared at the evidence until my hands shook. My wife wasn't working late. She was building another life, without me, without our children. And that was the night I realized my family wasn't just cracking, it was collapsing. The photographs burned in my hands long after the investigator left. I couldn't breathe. For 20 years, I had built a life with Claire, raising 2 children, sharing bills, dreams, and scars. And now, with one manila folder, it all came crashing down. I didn't confront her immediately. Instead, I watched. Every night she grew more distant, claiming late hours, coming home smelling faintly of perfume I didn't recognize. She never wore it around me anymore. At dinner, she scrolled through her phone, barely listening to our son, Ethan, talk about his football game, or our daughter, Lily, who wanted her mom's help with a school project. Claire nodded absent-mindedly, her mind clearly elsewhere. It broke me more than the photographs, watching her drift away from her children. They deserved better than lies wrapped in motherly smiles. One evening, I decided to test her. "Claire," I said calmly, "my company offered me a chance to travel to Chicago next week. Should I take it?" Her eyes flickered, panic for a split second, then softened. "Of course, honey. Go, you work so hard." That's when I knew. She wasn't worried about losing me. She was excited for the freedom my absence would bring. Instead of leaving for Chicago, I stayed in town, quietly checking into a motel across from the same hotel in the photographs. My hands trembled as I waited, praying I was wrong. Hours passed, but then she appeared, laughing as she entered the lobby, her arm hooked around his. It wasn't just betrayal, it was performance. The way she touched him, whispered into his ear, smiled with that same spark she once gave me. My chest tightened. For years, I thought my marriage was unshakable, but in that moment, I understood I wasn't losing my wife. I had already lost her long ago. When I returned home that night, I looked at my children differently. They were innocent. They were the victims of a war they didn't even know had begun. I realized my next step wasn't just about revenge or truth, it was about protection. Because if Claire could lie this easily, I feared what else she could destroy. The next morning, Claire kissed me on the cheek before leaving for work. Her lips were warm, but empty, like a stranger's touch. I forced a smile, nodding as though I believed her story. Inside, my chest burned with silent fury. I spent the day gathering strength. I went through our shared bank accounts, the credit card statements, even the hidden drawers in her office. What I found confirmed my worst fears. Hotel bills disguised as business expenses, expensive dinners, and gifts charged under vague categories. She wasn't just lying to me, she was financing her betrayal with our family's money. By the time Ethan and Lily returned from school, I had decided this couldn't remain a private torment. My children deserved the truth, even if it shattered them. But how do you tell a 12-year-old girl and a 15-year-old boy that their mother is living a double life? That night at dinner, Claire was unusually cheerful. She made her favorite pasta, humming softly as though nothing was wrong. "Big week ahead," she said with a smile, "lots of deadlines." I studied her face. She was rehearsing a role, her performance flawless. I wanted to explode, to shout everything, to slam the photographs on the table. But Ethan's innocent eyes stopped me. He had no idea the world was about to fall apart. Instead, I played along, pretending to sip my wine, pretending to laugh at her jokes. But inside, I was building a plan. If Claire could act, then so could I. Later that night, when she fell asleep, I stood by her side of the bed. Her breathing was steady, her face peaceful. How could someone who looked so angelic be capable of such darkness? For a moment, I questioned myself. Maybe I was overreacting. Maybe the investigator was wrong. Then her phone buzzed on the nightstand. A message lit up the screen. "Can't wait to see you again. Last night was perfect." My blood froze. Any doubt I had vanished. She wasn't mine anymore. She hadn't been for a long time. I took a deep breath, copied the message, and sent it to my own phone. Evidence. Cold, undeniable proof. The game had changed. No more silence, no more waiting. It was time to prepare the truth, and to decide how much of her secret life I was willing to destroy. The morning after I discovered Claire's message, I sat in my car outside her office building. My hands gripped the steering wheel so tightly that my knuckles turned white. The investigator had already confirmed her late nights were never spent inside that building. But today, I needed to see it with my own eyes. At 6 p.m., when she told me she'd be working late, I watched her from a distance. She didn't go inside. Instead, she crossed the street, her heels clicking against the pavement, and walked straight into a luxury hotel. The betrayal hit me again, sharp, like the first cut of a knife. I followed her quietly, keeping my distance, watching as she greeted a man in the lobby. Tall, confident, younger than me. She smiled in a way I hadn't seen in years, her hand brushing his arm like they'd known each other forever. I snapped photos. Each click of the camera felt like breaking a bone in my chest. Evidence stacked against the woman I had trusted for 25 years. But this wasn't about revenge anymore. It was about survival. My children deserved to know the truth, and I needed to protect them from the lies Claire had built. When she came home later that night, pretending to be exhausted from work, I had already printed the photos. I placed them neatly on the kitchen table, waiting. She walked in, dropped her bag, and smiled. "Hey, you're still up." I didn't answer. I just pointed to the table. Her eyes followed my finger, and when they landed on the photos, her smile collapsed. "James," she whispered, her face draining of color. "Don't," I cut her off. "Don't you dare lie again." Tears welled in her eyes. For the first time, I saw fear, not for losing me, but for losing everything she had built in secret. Ethan came down the stairs, rubbing his eyes. "Dad, Mom, what's going on?" I froze. This wasn't how I wanted him to find out, but Claire stood paralyzed, unable to speak, her lips trembling. I looked at my son, then back at her. The truth was no longer mine to keep. "Your mother," I said slowly, "has been living another life, one she never wanted us to know." The silence that followed was deafening. And in that silence, I saw her mask shatter forever. The kitchen felt colder than ever. Ethan stood frozen, his eyes darting between me and Claire. He was too young to understand the complexity of betrayal, but old enough to sense that our family was about to collapse. Claire tried to step forward, reaching for him, but I blocked her. "Not this time," I said firmly. "You don't get to hide behind lies anymore." She broke down, sobbing uncontrollably. "James, please, it was a mistake. I never meant to hurt you or the kids." Her words rang hollow. After 25 years together, every shared memory now felt tainted. I thought about our wedding day, the house we built, the late nights rocking Ethan and Lily to sleep. Had it all been a performance? Or had she simply decided somewhere along the way that I wasn't enough? Ethan's face hardened. "Is it true, Mom?" he asked quietly. Claire opened her mouth, but no sound came out. The silence was her answer. Lily came down next, clutching her teddy bear, confused and frightened. She didn't understand, but she could feel the storm around her. My heart shattered seeing their innocence crushed beneath secrets they never asked for. I pulled them both close. "We'll be okay," I whispered, though my own chest ached with doubt. "No matter what happens, we'll be okay." Claire reached out again, desperation filling her eyes. "James, don't do this. Don't take them from me." But it was already too late. I had spoken to a lawyer earlier that day. The evidence was irrefutable. Her financial betrayals, her infidelity, it was all documented. This wasn't just about a broken heart anymore. It was about justice, survival, and protecting what was left of my family. "I trusted you for 25 years, I said, my voice steady now. "But trust is dead, and so is this marriage." Her sobs echoed through the house as I led Ethan and Lily upstairs. They needed sleep, they needed peace, and most of all, they needed truth. As I tucked them in, I realized something. Claire had destroyed the family we once were, but she couldn't take away the one we still had, the bond between a father and his children. That night, I didn't cry. I didn't rage. I simply accepted the truth. Sometimes the deepest betrayal becomes the beginning of freedom. And freedom was exactly what we needed to heal.